One night in Bangkok and the world's your oyster, goes the line from that catchy musical Chess. And the only way to understand what Murray had sang is to see it firsthand. And how could we resist?
Sure Travel had insisted Bangkok was a must-see, arranged it all, and once again they were right on the money. From its inception as the capital of Old Siam to the modern economic and tourist hub of Southeast Asia, 11 million people visit here each year. And hearing its official name, why wouldn't you?
When King Rama I was crowned, he gave his new capital city a grand name to match his ambitions. Now this grand name contained 43 syllables. Later on, 21 more syllables were added. But I think I'll just stick to the rough English translation and the shortened version, City of Angels.
But where angels fly, the mortals who make up the bulk of the population need to get to work in a more pedestrian manner. Rather than walk, however, they drive.
There are 10 million people living in this city, and every day authorities register an extra 1,000 cars to drive on these roads. So that's why Bangkok's traffic is so legendary. But despite this frenetic lifestyle, people here are incredibly calm. Why is that?
Our country is a colony, right? We are independent. We never occupied by any country, and we have the king. Only one king that Thai people, we love him the most. That's why we are not brothers from each other, or that's why we come country. She talking about the people, why they still quiet, not make a horn. Because even the traffic, we look from each other and then we smiling, and then everybody understand.
That old idea of can't we all just get along really is daily practice here. To find out what can possibly account for such an agreeable population, we took in the spiritual heart of the city, where the pieces of the puzzle began to come together. At 20 acres, Wat Po is a sizable island of calm in the midst of all the bustle. Being that it was built 200 years before Bangkok became the nation's capital, it's seen as the foundation of the city and its character.
95% of the population is Buddhist, so there are 37,000 temples in the entire country and 400 alone here in Bangkok, with Wat Po being the oldest and the largest.
The vast gold figure of Athena, which once occupied the Parthenon in Athens, now exists only in the imagination. Whereas here, the world-renowned reclining Buddha is as real as the day it was finished. Designed to show the passing of the Buddha into nirvana, it's the subject of profound reverence and endless questions from tourists.
Lucy, is there a particular reason why they built such a big Buddha?
Because Thai people, right, they like to build everything like a hills, and that is a higher, like a go to the heaven. This is one of the biggest in Bangkok, like a 45 meters long and 16 meters high. This one is made by the brick and stucco, and then we cover by lacquer. And this Buddha was built in 1826 and finished in 1832. We built the Buddha first and built the building cover later.
If that study of inner peace on the outward face of the Buddha was meant to awake the same in visitors to Wat Po, then it was working.
Every year Buddhists come from all over the world to see these temples and to experience Buddha and his presence. And even though I'm not Buddhist, I think one still gets a great sense of calm and tranquility.
Waste not, want not is not a new idea here. One particular Thai king showed himself to be both practical and thrifty in everything from sea travel to architecture.
So these 60-meter-high towers are actually covered in Chinese teacups. But why Chinese teacups?
Because King Rama III went to China by ship, and they decided to bring all the teacup and the porcelain, right, to make a ship balance. On the way back, the porcelain is broken. So that's why we decided to bring them to decorate all the temple.
So one of the first cases of true recycling.
Enlightened forward thinking goes back to when Wat Po was the nation's first university for traditional Thai medicine, even massage. And a closer look behind the stunning exteriors reveals numerous references and medical texts.
Have you ever seen so much attention to detail? But there's lots more to see in Bangkok, so before we get all tied up, let's go.
One of the most interesting ways to explore Bangkok has always been by water, earning the city its unofficial title of the Venice of the East.
Initially, only the temples and palaces were built on dry land, and the city was basically amphibious because the ordinary residents lived on the water. But things have changed since. If you look closely, though, you can still find little pockets of how life used to be.
If canals at the center of town have given way to roads, you still don't need to venture far to see how water has shaped traditional lifestyles.
So we see all these canals are pretty much the lifelines of the city.
Yeah, Thai people, we are close to the water, to the river, right? You see, they like to live the both side of the canal. Normally we use the water, and then like one house, they take a bath, right? The next house they do washing, but the other house they do like a toothbrush because they used to. They not get sick because they used to use the water from the canal, but just no drinking.
Yeah.
We use the rainwater.
Unlike other waterfront capitals, where there's a very clear line between river and city, here the two elements are entirely woven together.
Though it doesn't look like it, the water here is in fact incredibly clean. The murky color comes from the high rainfall in this region. So I actually rest my case. This is the lifeline of Bangkok.
Nowhere is the river's influence on daily life more obvious than at the floating markets. Boats are still piled high with tropical fruit and legumes unusual to Western eyes. Countless visitors remark that when buying produce here, you feel an uninterrupted link to the countryside it grew in.
It's really quite fascinating to see how life here in Bangkok and the surrounding provinces revolves around the water. In fact, villagers come from all over to sell wares ranging from fried fish to fresh fruits and vegetables. It's really an interesting kind of concept.
ทุกๆเช้าเนี่ยจะมีคนนำของมาขายไม่ว่าจะ
They're talking about the people who come to the floating market, right? Mostly it's Thai people, but Thai people they come quite early. They come to wait for the food, the product from the local people that they bring it from the garden, from their shop, and they're selling it at the floating market.
Sawadika. Sawadika. I want to buy flowers. How much?
20 baht.
20 baht.
20 baht.
Okay.
If you wondered how so many flower sellers make a living, there's a good answer.
Every house, every shop, you have to buy the flower for every morning.
Once again, there's this uncanny calm amidst the madness of boats, buyers and passengers. But amazingly, it requires neither traffic lights nor a highway patrol to make it all work.
Are there any rules? Are there any traffic rules? Any boat has right of way?
No route.
Free for all?
Free for all.
While there are no so-called free lunches, the waterborne kitchens are always open for business. All that liquidity-type jargon of the stock markets could easily have started here. But at least you leave this market with something tangible in hand.
How much?
How much? 100 baht.
100 baht.
100 baht.
And this, how much? 70 baht. ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you. Because this area is very popular amongst tourists, the rule of thumb here is actually always to haggle.
After the break, with land at a premium in Bangkok, the only way is